to Season 1, Episode number 43 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches of 2020 with match number 8 on our list, which is the IWGP Heavyweight title and the IWGP Intercontinental title match between Kazuchika Okada, the Heavyweight Champion, and Tetsuya Naito, the Intercontinental Champion, from New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom 14 Night 2, held back on the 5th of January. And it is no coincidence that this match comes in at number 8 following Okada and Ibushi from the night before, which was match number 9 on the list. Now, when I initially watched these matches live as they happened, I thought they were both absolutely incredible, but I thought, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, I thought Okada and Ibushi was the superior match. On the rewatch, I changed my tune a little bit on that. Both matches are at very, very similar quality levels, but I actually found Okada and Naito to hold up a bit better. Initially, when I watched this, I don't know if it was just my disappointment of Ibushi not winning the night before, kind of carrying over. These two, have been joined at the hip, for 8 years at this point, when this match happened. I don't know if I just kind of, wasn't as invested in Naito as maybe the large, percentage of the New Japan fan base was, or, I felt like I'd seen this match too many times. It's, it's not what I wanted to see. And again, I was hoping Ibushi would leave this weekend with both belts. But watching this match, in a bubble, many months later, I was over that. I'd gotten over that disappointment of the Ibushi loss. So I was able to, watch this match for what it was. And I'll honestly say, if the matches that both of these guys had the night before did not happen, maybe this match wouldn't be quite as good as it is. Just because there's little things that carry forward in the stories from both of their matches the night before. Tetsuya Naito won the Intercontinental Championship from Jay White. And there's all these little subtle nuances, both in the actual action of the match, but just in the overall story. Naito to finally achieve his destiny and beat Okada at Wrestle Kingdom, for the heavyweight title. He would, have to win the Intercontinental title, right? The title that he disrespected and he felt that he was above and was far inferior to the level that he was at. He would actually have to use that title to get his way back into this match. So, it was kind of a cool overarching story. They have a really awesome start here where it's a little thing, but the crowd is really split between both guys, two of the biggest fan favorites in New Japan, of course. So Red Shoes, the referee, he kind of gauges the fan reaction at the start, right? Naito kind of starts to win out a little bit. It's just a really cool little thing that, I feel like most wrestling promotions, wouldn't incorporate the referee to do something like that. Like, the referee's normally in the background, but it was really kind of cool and just showed how much of a special match this was. Okada is the king of small details in his matches. And pretty much right off the hop in the start of this match, he uses a back elbow and a DDT, which were the first two moves that he was able to successfully use against Ibushi the night before, which, gave him a little bit of an advantage and ultimately led to his win, right? So why wouldn't he try to use those same tricks super early in the match to get the advantage over Naito? And that's exactly what he did. Naito makes a comeback and works over Okada's neck. He hits, a brutal, draping neck breaker off the ring apron to the floor. And at this point, both of these guys had grueling contests the night before. Naito was coming into this one, with a bad knee that Jay White really worked over in their contest. But Okada went longer with Ibushi, got the absolute, crap kicked out of him by Ibushi. So the story here is kind of, the longer this match goes, the more it might favor Naito. And for that reason, Okada, it tries to put him away really quick. He goes through all of his signature offense early on. He hits, the flapjack. He hits the air raid crash over his knee. He hits the flying elbow drop. He goes for the Rainmaker really early. just to show like he has that sense of urgency here. He's used to long main events. We've seen him in long main events at Wrestle Kingdoms before, but that's not what he wants here. He wants to finish as quick as he possibly can. And for that reason, he does something very uncharacteristic that I thought was incredible. Okada's a babyface, right? He's, a clean wrestler, a good wrestler, but he goes to Naito's knee. And it might, it's not super heelish, right? Like it's, somebody comes in with an injury, you exploit it, right? It happens. But he does it in such an aggressive way, and it's so uncharacteristic for him that I just thought it was brilliant and really showed the importance placed upon winning this historical match, the double gold dash that would bring both belts together. There was a little story that CM Punk and Samoa Joe told on their Ring of Honor straight shooting, which, if you've never seen, if you can find it, it's hilarious. But they tell this little story about when they were engaged in their trilogy matches, Ricky Steamboat suggested to them that, one of them should put their feet on the ropes in their third and final match. And, again, both of them were faces. Why would they do that, right? And both of them, they dismissed Ricky and they thought, crazy old man, like, what's he talking about? And then they realized the brilliance of it, and that's exactly, what they did here with Okada attacking. And he slams, Naito's knee onto the ringside table, right? And again, it just shows the desperation and the importance that somebody that would never cheat, never ever cheat, is willing to do that and go that route just to win. And it was really, really cool. It's Naito and Okada. They've wrestled each other so many times. They have phenomenal, unmatched chemistry. The counters here are just absolutely superb. There is an absolutely breathtaking sequence that I thought where they, had Naito go for the Destino. Okada blocks it and ends up cutting him off with a drop kick. I think like Naito was going in for his flying forearm, and Okada nails him with a drop kick. And Okada wanted to use that moment to reset, right? We talked about it in the Ibushi video. The drop kick is Okada's bread and butter maneuver. Whenever he needs to go back on offense or take a break, he goes to that drop kick, and he goes to do just that, and he takes a brief moment to pause and doesn't realize that Naito is right back up, and he runs and hits a flash Destino. And it was just so cool and so unexpected, really well shot by New Japan. It was a great spot. And then they actually ended up going back to that a moment later where, Okada ends up, cutting him off with the dropkick again, but this time keeps his eyes on him and makes sure he stays down before he takes that moment of respite. And just another little subtle thing from Okada that might seem really simple, but it just adds to the overall package of the match. At one point in this, Naito hits a poison Rana, like a reverse Hurricane Rana from the top. That's just absolutely disgusting and drops Okada right on his head. And again, Okada's kind of this protected guy. Not to say, he doesn't take big moves and stuff, but again, a little unusual for him to take, a head drop off the top rope like that. So again, just, added to the importance of the match and the lengths that these guys, are willing to go to. So after a good 5 or 6 attempts at, Okada trying for the Rainmaker, trying to put Naito away, with his pet finish, he finally gets a spinning Rainmaker and hits another one after that, and Naito kicks out. And from there they go, into this story that it's Naito's time. He's been denied by Okada twice at Wrestle Kingdom before, and it will not happen again. There's an excellent spot where he just, defiantly spits at Okada, after collapsing, right? He's got very little left. His knees hurt. He's exhausted. It's his second match across 2 nights. And, and again, he resorts to those mind games, right? Resorts to that, ignorant character that he had before. Naito's matured a lot, during this feud with Okada. And he's, played all these separate phases. He was the scrappy baby face that, just for whatever reason, the crowd wouldn't get behind. And that, led to the turn in his rise in popularity of, with Los Ingobernables, where, he was disrespectful. Like I said, he disrespected, the Intercontinental title. He'd throw it around, right? Thought it was beneath him. And that actually led, I didn't mention this at the start, to a really great visual. So when these guys wrestled last time at Wrestle Kingdom, when Okada made his entrance, and he does his Rainmaker pose on the buckle, Naito didn't even look at him. He kept his back to him the whole time, right? Not this time. Okada makes the same entrance, and Naito is laser focused and does not take his eyes off of Okada. And it shows that maturity and how differently he's taking this match this time. But again, just for that brief moment of desperation, he resorted back, he spit, and what did Okada do? That caused, Okada to flip his switch a little bit and go back after the knee, right? So again, go back to years ago, the heel Okada, when the Rainmaker first came to fruition in New Japan, right? So it just showed that both of these guys were running out of tactics, that they almost went primal on each other and went back, to their original character bases, and it was cool. And when Okada went after Naito's knee, the crowd just booed him mercilessly, and it was really, really nice. Okada, ends up getting his wrist control that he's famous for. He hits 2 short lariats and goes for the Rainmaker, but Naito, counters it into Destino, only gets 2. And again, I mentioned it in the Ibushi video. We all knew when it was confirmed that this match was happening, that the spot was going to happen. What led to Naito's downfall last time these two matched up at Wrestle Kingdom, the Stardust Press. Naito went for it. It didn't work for Ibushi the night before when he went for the Phoenix Splash, but this time Naito finally hit the Stardust Press. Arguably, it should have been the finish. It would have put this beautiful cherry on top of this match. Okada kicked out, but that was pretty much all she wrote. Naito went for one more Destino. Okada went for the same desperation counter that he used against Ibushi the night before. That sheer drop tombstone, that almost like Michinoku driver that he used at the end of the contest that he busted out for the first time. And he goes for it, and he's struggling, but he can't get it. And Naito, ends up falling back, counters it, dumps Okada directly on the top of his head with his, snowplow that he does, and hits one more Destino for 3 to finally vanquish his foe in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom, to finally, reach the destiny that these two, have been building to for the better part of a decade. And it was absolutely beautiful. At the time of it happening, I was kind of like, all right, well, Naito won, wasn't Ibushi. But just watching this story play out and rewatching these matches and watching it, play out through, the course of Wrestle Kingdom Night 1 leading into Night 2, and just this being the bow on, this epic rivalry that these guys have had for years. It was absolutely phenomenal. A great, great contest. Probably the best match these two have ever had against each other, which is saying something. They've had some classics. And another legendary Wrestle Kingdom match. And New Japan, they did something, kind of cool and different and unexpected and shocking after this, with the attack by Kenta on Naito, which, they've never ended, Wrestle Kingdom on a cliffhanger like that. So again, at the time it was a pretty cool little surprise to see where New Japan was headed. Of course the pandemic, derailed a lot of that, but it was still really cool even watching it back that they gave, Kenta that shine and, officially tried to finally establish him as a main eventer in New Japan. Because of New Japan, of course, you can watch this match on New Japan World. Please subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. Follow on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top